Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fashion Avenue News TV, where only the best will do. Tonight we have an absolutely amazing and intriguing guest for you. But before we speak to our guests, we're going to run over and say hello to our sponsors. We'll be right back in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on Fashion Avenue News. And I have the king with me, Kevin Ultra Omni, the icon, the pioneer, the one that knows all about how it started. If you want the real deal, he is the real deal. And this is part two of our interviews. Kevin, welcome to the show.
How are you? I can't see your face because I'm getting a message that's saying this meeting is being recorded, but give me 1 second so I can see your beautiful face. Yeah, okay. How dare you? That's ALG, you know how he is. How you doing, Sophia? You look so good. And
Thank you.
Before you start with me, I want to say, I looked at your Instagram. Baby, I was like, wow, amazing, fabulosity, fabulous.
Thank you.
Just everybody should go look at Sophia Davis and Fashion Avenue News Magazine on Instagram. You get so much more. It's like those outfits, the glasses, the couture, the house of couture. Okay, so you've joined you've joined the ballroom ranks as the house of couture. I see it. I accept it. And let me tell you something. Anyone and everyone would want to be a part of your house, especially
thank you, Kevin.
Fashion that you put out. Like I'll be looking at the Facebook with the the pink outfits, the couture outfits, the girls, the models, the attitude, the personality. It's like, okay, we saw Iman and Beverly Johnson, but did you see Sophia Davis, House of Couture, Fashion Avenue News? It's fabulous. So,
Thank you, Kevin.
and you
Thank
look
you
so
so
good.
much.
You know I'm gonna snatch them glasses off you.
I know, and these actually belong to you. I've been mailing them for a while, right? I gotta get them mailed.
Those are the glasses I'm getting. Well, I'm gonna
Yes,
have
they
to.
are.
I gotta go get me a silver outfit.
Oh yes, and you look amazing in your outfit today, all goldy, glittery. I love it.
Something, Sophie. I'm just gonna just a little bit. Now,
Oh, that's
hold on. This
beautiful.
is a 62-year-old man, and in 2 months I'll be 63 in a cat suit.
You look fabulous, though.
But you know the thing is that it hasn't been done before. Not a man over 60, an African American man in a cat suit.
Okay, you gotta let them know how it's done, Kevin.
Well, I'm thinking that, you know what, they might want to put me in the movies like Batman or somebody, and put me in a little.
That's true. You never know.
I can swing.
You
I can
never know.
I can't backflip, but I can cartwheel at the age of 62.
That's excellent. You are doing well. And so we're going to talk about what I want to start with is trying to get people to understand, for people that don't know ballroom, I wanted to talk a little bit about the titles, because I know it's father, icon, pioneer, legend, family, kids, children. I'm not sure if everyone understands what those titles mean. And how does someone become a father or legend or icon?
Okay, well, what happened was, what had happened was, when I started going to balls, things were different. It was underground. It was hours. We didn't have anybody telling us what to do, how to do it, when, and where to do it. Except for if you couldn't purchase a nice venue, that was on you. I was one of the blessed ones, and we'll get into that later. Pioneer, we'll start with that. What happened was around maybe 1990, a guy named Derek, I'll give him his props, Ebony, Prada, he developed a color system. So we did the white era, then it was the red era, and then I believe it was the blue era, and so on and so on. The period of time of, the years differed. If you were in the white era, you were in the balls when they first started, when we first had the first house of, which was the House of LaBeija, and they started in 1972. So all the houses from 1972 to 1984 are the white era. And the white era is the pioneering era. We only started talking about the pioneering era like 5 years ago. We had to separate. What that meant was you were there when the category, like I was, okay, so I'm a pioneer. So I was there when the categories started, like the male categories, and they developed. You had more female figure categories. We call them female figures now. Back then we called them drag queens. Then they didn't want to hear that word drag queen, so it was femme queen. So then after femme queen, it's just plain female figure. So you had a metamorphosis. But there are still drag categories where guys that don't live in 24-hour feminine clothes, they just come to a ball and they dress up for the night in female clothes, and that's a drag. The pioneer era, either you are or you aren't. So what happened was later on, when we went to the balls and we competed, and like when I would hit the floor, everybody know that was Kevin. Regardless if they knew it was Kevin Omni, but they just say Kevin. If you heard on a flyer, if it said Kevin, you knew who they were talking about nationally.
Wow.
My name preceded me when I went to California. Everybody knew who I was when I got there. I went to Chicago to my first ball. I represented the East Coast in the Midwest, the first one who won at a ball in 1992 and nobody knew me, and I won the category for face, which was an honor because I didn't know any of the judges. They didn't know my story, and I was the last one to hit the runway. But I was outside and was called, oh, the category is coming. And then I came and they say, going once, going twice, getting ready to close it. And then bam, I hit the floor. But it was all about the noise and how well they received you back then. You know, like Paris Dupree or Avis Pendarvis or Pepper LaBeija, you know, when you hit the floor, we knew who you were. You didn't need a title. You didn't need status. You was either, the mother and father came in at the houses where you had your founder. I was both father and mother, okay? Later in the 70s, but later on in the 90s, father meant male figure, you know, that metamorphosized, and mother meant female figure. It could be a straight woman, because we've had straight female houses, like the House of Del Rio, came along in 1988. We had, and they were straight, heterosexual. Matter of fact, one of the more famous people in the House of Del Rio was, Lucy was the mother. I forgot the father's name, but was Vanessa Del Rio. She was one of those dancers, you know, provocative, Miss Vanessa Del Rio. She's very famous in her arena, okay? But the balls itself developed this desire to be a legend. I wasn't called a legend until 1984 at a major ball. God bless the dead, William Dupree and Michael Dupree. They deemed me over the microphone a legend. The way William presented it, he said, anybody that would win over me has to be a legend. And that's how I got my I received my status. But I didn't even use it after 1984 until 1989. I gave a ball, it was called Legends, Statements, and Stars, which I started a whole, that whole, put those words together, Legends, Statements, and Stars, part one. And I called myself the legendary Kevin Omni because I had the title for 5 years and I never used it. The next year, I had Legends, Statements, and Stars, part two. The next thing you know, after being legendary and other people, like in big major arenas like the GMHC, would give these affairs, the latex ball, where there were 3,000 to 4,000 people in attendance. I received this great honors in 1997, the legendary Kevin Omni, from them acknowledging me. I could get into more, but I'm going to say I'm grateful and I'm very thankful. Then it got to, I believe, 1998, I became an icon. Now, an icon is supposed to be somebody that's been in the balls for 25 years. You won a certain amount of trophies. I don't know, because it's changed now. And you also have had to give back to the community. There's a lot of icons today in 2021 that haven't met that criteria. So I'm fine with just being called a pioneer, because they started getting crazy. Then you had people getting deemed icon and all this status, legendary or what have you, but they didn't put in the work. They didn't put in the work, and it was because they rubbed elbows with, it's political. Politics comes into everything. So icon was supposed to be 25 years or more, when in 2001, I received the Lifetime Achievement Award. I have so many titles, it's ridiculous. We'll start off with the pioneer, icon, assistant director to my film, How Do I Look, / producer, lifetime achiever, Hall of Fame from the East Coast and the West Coast. My house, the House of Omni, is the Ballroom House Hall of Fame 2011 in New York, with a Ballroom House Hall of Fame in Philadelphia 2012. Then in 2019, at the first and only Pioneer Ball that I presented, along with a good friend of mine named Joseph Ebony, he deemed me a Pioneer Icon Diamond. Now I'm a Diamond Icon. So, I kind of laugh because some of the kids make that the most important thing and reason why they go to balls, and they forget to have fun. They're so busy with, oh, I'm a legend, I'm an icon. We don't care. Get on the floor and perform. You know, have fun. And if you're gonna lose that sense of having fun because you like everybody wants to be an Indian chief and there's no more Indians, you know. So I think that the younger kids that come in, they aspire to become a legend, which is nothing wrong with it, and an icon. But you know, do it when you feel that you put in the work, you know. And not only that, it's very important who's deeming you.
Mhm.
I could go into that part, but I'm just not, I'm gonna just say it like that and leave it like that because I try my best to be positive. And you know, sometimes it's very overwhelming. You know, you have people telling me I'm an icon, and but you're an icon in Indiana. You ain't been nowhere else. Nobody knows you. So now I've developed, you're a local icon. You're a local Chicago icon, or you're local. If you don't cross and travel throughout the United States, like, you know, I've won trophies in California, I've won trophies in Chicago, I've won trophies in Philly. I've traveled, and then I went to Europe, you know, that to me says a lot within itself. And I'm not trying to make it like it's all about me, because there are others that have done the same thing. I just deemed this guy from Chicago, and his name is Jermaine Milan. And it's like at their awards balls, now you have these awards balls, and you know, it's political. If you don't rub elbows with certain people, they don't want to vote for you and all of that. So he had been serving across the United States, and I've been watching him and watching him and watching him. So at the ball in Virginia, I deemed him an icon because the people in Chicago where he lived, they can't take him. They can't take him because he won't kiss their butts or hang out with them or drink with them or do drugs with them, whatever the case may be. You know, there's a lot of fairness and then there's a lot of unfairness. But I think the thing that I try to stress to the new kids is that, okay, it's good to be a legend, it's good to be an icon, but have some fun. We had fun. We didn't care if you called us icon or legend or whatever. When we hit the floor, they didn't even say Omni. They knew Omni. They would say it's Kevin. And there you go. You know, so it's a matter of changing of times. Like after they developed the color system, like the white era was 72 to 84. That's the pioneering era. That's the era where we went through the trials and tribulations and of getting venues, of organizing stuff, you know, all the beginning from security to whatever it was necessary to make and have a successful ball. And then you had the red era that came 1985 to 1989. And I think the blue era started in 1990. So you have different eras. What it means to me, I feel I've given a ball in every color era, which I believe I'm the only one that has done that.
Wow.
But, yeah, I'm the only one that has given a ball in every color era. I didn't miss not one era. And even still, you know, I'm supportive of the ballroom kids. I admire these new kids that's out. And again, I just wish that they, you know, the icon is a status. Pioneer is a title. It's not a status. Either you are a pioneer and you were in that white era, or you're not. But I get arguments and debates from people who are in the red era. Oh, I'm a pioneer. And then you got people giving misinformation. And then I have to go undo what they did wrong and explain that all a pioneer means is thank you. Thank you for creating the categories. Thank you for getting this ball, the house structured ball scene, to now be worldwide. So people in Europe are now saying, well, I'm the pioneer of Paris. You're a trailblazer. You're a trailblazer. Philadelphia has icons, but they're trailblazers because everybody is coming after and copying what we established in the white era. So I try to explain that to them, that all these people that came behind the New York City original ball scene from 1972 to 1985, 84 are following what we the foundation that we've already laid down. You know what I'm saying? So how could you be a pioneer? Now, you may be a pioneer of a category, a new style category or something like that, but that doesn't make you an overall ballroom pioneer. So I debate with the kids, and at this point, look, be whatever you want to be. I'll just be Kevin Omni. And you know, my resume stands for itself and it speaks for itself. That's all you can do. And you try to educate the new generations and you pass down the history. Then you have those people that tell their own history, or they think you're not looking. And then you hear them say something, then you have to correct them, you know, and I don't find it correcting them. I find it just educating them. I'm forever, ever educating. My job is never ending. And sometimes, most times, it's a thankless job. But I hope I've answered your question.
No, you have. You have answered the question. And I think it's important because you were detailed so that people understand. Because I don't think a lot of people, you know, if you don't know ballroom, you wouldn't know why this is the way it is. So I think it's very important.
There's one part I forgot. So in the houses, you have the mothers and fathers. You have a family structure.
Mm-hmm.
And some houses have mothers and they don't have fathers. Or they have fathers and they don't have mothers for whatever reason. But the initial parenting of the ballroom was like, it developed into a community. And although I say, unfortunately, it's a disenfranchised community because it's very hard to, you know, teach and educate. And the reason why it's hard because you have so much opposition going on. As we get on in the story, I'll be able to tell you what that opposition is.
Okay, good. Okay, but it's amazing because you're breaking it down for the people that don't know. They have no clue. So you're really explaining it clearly, and I think that that's important. And then this way, it helps people to understand. You know what I mean? The culture of ball. So I think that's fabulous. Now you mentioned a movie. Look at Me. Is that?
No. It's
How I look? How do I look? Talk about that.
Well, you know what? Let me just say, there's other. I wanted to talk about how do I look after I talked about the other films and movies that you wanted me, you know, to ask me about.
Okay, so let's talk about that now. Can we talk about Madonna not inventing voguing? Is that okay for now?
Yes. I'm laughing because ALG is over there voguing and he, you know, he doesn't know what he's doing. Okay.
He's working it.
Yeah, he's working it. He's crazy. You know. Okay. I want to present this in a very positive way because I don't want to come across bitter because I'm not, or angry. I can use the word disappointment. I look at it this way. Madonna came to a club, the Sound Factory. There was a Sound Factory bar in New York City that ran through the 90s, 92, 93, all the way to, I believe it was 95 or 96 that they stopped. And then there was another club on 27th Street, I believe, close to the West Side Highway. And that was Sound Factory. And Madonna came, and the House of Extravaganza, which is a Latin house, were, you know, frequent visitors of this club, Sound Factory. And she saw them voguing and dancing, and she decided to do her song. And she chose dancers from that house, not knowing that they were the house of this or that until later or whatever, but because they were great voguers. One was a friend of mine, Jose Extravaganza, and, you know, he, you know, danced in her Truth or Dare. He danced in her Vogue, you know, videos, and he traveled with her. No, Madonna did not start Vogue, and it did not start. She brought it to mainstream. Yeah, she did that. So that's the positive side of it. But the story of Vogue is like, it goes back to Rikers Island. It goes back to clubs of the 70s, like the Club Better Days and Resurrection, which was on 49th Street between 8th and 9th Avenue. He's no longer alive, but his name was Robert Isaac, and his ballroom name was Paris Dupree. And Paris used to get in the mirror and we used to look at him because back then we were doing the hustle. You know, I was on Solar Live, I was, on Dance Fever, and it was all about the Latin hustle. But while we were in the back of the club where we would do the hustle, because in the front of the club was, everybody was just dancing regularly, but in the back you could Latin hustle spin, and the females came back there, you danced with them, you danced. It was our like getaway. And Paris would sit there in the mirror and do all these poses with his hat. He used to wear Kangol. We used to wear Kangol hats back then. And Paris would do these twists and these turns and these things and poses and stuff. And this was like every week. I was a good friend of Paris. So it developed like, I know in 1975, Paris started the House of Dupree. And voguing was very popular because now the drag queens were doing it. And then you had the kids that were, I don't want to say just the shoplifters, but yeah, they were doing it on Rikers Island. So it was voguing going on Rikers Island in the 70s. And that was the entertainment that the kids gave to the inmates, to the boys. They was in there carrying and the boys are like looking. And I guess this was a form of, it could be called the ritual. I'm gay, I'm voguing, I'm bending over, I'm showing my assets, whatever the case may be. But Paris Dupree, I would say, is the father of voguing. And through the early, when he started the House of Dupree, the categories at the balls started to be voguing, then they called it the old way, then they called it Excalibur, then they called it metamorphosized. Then it for pop, dip, and spin, then it went to New Way, which New Way consisted of stretch, like the people that were double jointed that would put their legs across their shoulders and behind their necks. Then you had in 1993, this new Vogue after Old Way and New Way became voguing femme, meaning you had to be feminine. And they went into this legendary iconic dip we call the Macayella. And God bless the dead, Mystery Dior was one of the first to do the Macayella. And what that is when you go back in a dip and your leg go up and they just bounce and bounce, like they don't have spines. If I do it, I'll be going to the hospital, okay? I can do old way. I can do old way. I can't do any stretch. You're not stretching my legs and all of that, But the dips, I watched them. They're amazing. The children of today have taken it to so many different levels. And it's all artistic dancing. And it's beautiful. It's all voguing. I read an excerpt on Instagram the other day where somebody was arguing about the kids or the Caucasian kids or the kids in Europe are teaching Vogue, and they were negative about it because they're teaching Vogue dance classes and charging high prices that people can't afford. And it's like the capitalizing off of the Latino and African-American Vogue. They've taken it, but like I said, everything becomes political. It's not just in the ballroom, it's not just in voguing, it's not just in, sports, it's in the music industry, the fashion industry. Somebody is always taking an idea and capitalizing off of it as though it's their own. The point that I want to make with Madonna is she made millions. What did she give back to the ballroom community? I'll tell you when it happens. My friend Wolfgang, my best Wolfgang Bush Omni, the director of How Do I Look, even reached out to Madonna through one of the dances with a letter that she didn't even acknowledge and get back to, because he was asking her something that would benefit the overall ballroom community. She never responded. You know,
Wow.
it's like, okay, you made your money, you know, the way they act, bye. You know, it's bye, Felicia. We got what we wanted from you. So it's a little disheartening. However, the credit does not go to Madonna when it comes to voguing whatsoever. She came along in the 90s. Voguing was going on in the 70s. So
Well, I'm glad you cleared that up, because you see, people that don't know see the video of Madonna because they don't know, and they think, oh, this is something she came up with and all this and that. But as we all know, that numerous times people have come into our community and seen things that we have done and taken them back and claimed them as their own. Yes. We know that. So this is something that, you know, she did. She came, she saw, and she loved it. She thought it would be fabulous for what she was doing. She took it, and maybe she took a couple other people and gave them a little something, but she didn't give back to the community or the culture of it. And so that, you know, is why it's so important to let people know who did what.
Yeah, it happens so much. Now, that brings me to, because I know you want to know. That brings me to Paris is Burning. Okay. Now, I said Kevin presented in a positive way. It's an emotional thing for me. Let me give you an example. Paris is Burning, Jenny Livingston came into the balls back in, I would say 1985, 86, and 87. How she got entry was she would offer the ball producer a certain amount of cash. And back then, some ball producers did not have 9-to-5s. So any extra money would have came in handy. So it was sort of like, okay, let me just wave a steak in front of her. And she said, well, I'm just doing a study and a documentary for my thesis. Next thing you know, that was 85, 86, 87. And she took a lot of footage of me, a lot. Didn't come out in the film. There's one part of me in the film sitting on the judges panel in my navy blue and baby blue suede, but you know, in my little pencil waves. But because I wouldn't sign a release, because some of us in the ballroom, and I want to say nowadays it's more so than it was back then, do have high school diplomas and have college education, and we read the fine print. Okay, so 1991, Paris is Burning comes out. Now let's go back to Paris Dupree, Robert Isaac, who started voguing. He did a ball, his first ball in 1978. It was called April in Paris. Then he decided in 1980 to start Paris is Burning, Part 1. And he did it all the way to Paris is Burning, Part 14. Somewhere, Jenny Livingston named her documentary, Paris is Burning. Did Paris get any credit? No. Paris actually, Robert Isaac went to court, and because he signed a release, he didn't win his court case. Another person that went was David Ultima Extravaganza. He took Jenny to court and he signed the release too. So they didn't get any money. Most of the people in the film, now mind you, Jenny Livingston is a Jewish princess. Her father has plenty of money. She graduated NYU, School of Film and Arts. And she put out Paris is Burning, and she sold it in 1991 to Miramax Films for $3.5 million.
Oh my God. And she didn't give any of them anything?
She gave the people in the film money. She gave them, I believe it was 12 people. She gave them $1,200 each.
$1,200?
1,200 girls. That's what we call it. But she got 2.5 million. Hold on. Don't let your hair turn. Then Miramax Film has made over $250 million. And the sad part about it all, how about this? That film she was filming during the height of the AIDS epidemic. Not one mention in the film about HIV or AIDS at all.
That's horrible.
By 1991, there was already about 200 ballroom children dead from the disease. Hold on, I got one better for you. You ready for some more dirt? Gossip? There was an extravaganza Venus who was murdered. She got stabbed 23 times in the hotel room in the closet. Her family did not know that she was dead until the film came out.
Oh my God.
And so you can see why. And then all of my friends that were in the film died broken, penniless. The sad part about it, I just want to talk about one particular person, Avis Pendarvis. She passed away in 1995, but she got $1,200. But Avis could sew. When I tell you this story is sad because her and another one, Doreen Corey, they could sew. They were seamsters. They could take curtains, make bedspreads. They could take a bedspread and make a wedding gown. They had the talent. They should have had their own boutiques, their own design labels should have been out there, but they died, without that opportunity. And it's very sad because there were many talented people in ballroom. One thing you get in ballroom, you get the creativity, you get the people that can sew, you get the people that, look, they can cut out paper and make it into an outfit, okay? They even had a house called the House of Paper, all right? But when I think about Jenny Livingston, I don't have the anger that I once had because I used to our community is so disenfranchised that we had certain people in agencies that were feeding the film to the community. Oh, we're going to do a screening of Paris is Burning. Oh, it's going to be Paris is Burning. And the kids, like even today, don't seem to understand that film was very exploitative. My argument was, you talked about the sex, the drugs, you showed people even robbing from Roy Rogers, scaring Caucasian people, doing whatever, hanging out, or drag queens talking about their breasts and you can drink my milk. And, so you stigmatized the ballroom and made everybody feel that this is what ballroom is about. And another part of that is you didn't put any of the footage of me in there because I didn't sign the release, but not that. I was working in Wall Street for 10 years already and had a college education. See, that wasn't good enough dirt. Nowadays, you got a lot of kids that have master's degrees. I have like my son's Victor Omni PhD, and many people have their bachelor's degrees and have made it. When I worked in Wall Street, I didn't work because I had a degree in it. I worked because I excelled in learning. And education was always important to me. When I came in the ball community, a lot of people didn't like me because, I was she poo poo, or, because I can speak with complete sentences and things of that nature. And, he thinks it's all about him. No, I don't. I just got up and went to school. My mother made me, but I had an interest in learning. And, I used to try to push my Omnis, make sure you go to school. To be an Omni, you had to have an education, you had to have a job, but most of all, you had to have a personality, because people can have jobs in school and have the nastiest attitudes. And, that's not what my family, the Omni family that I put in and instilled in the members. And I have members that have come back, did interviews, and have said, thanks for Kevin pushing me. And that they said, he used to push us hard. And I said, the reason why is because if I fall in life, you'll be able to pick me up. That's why. And that's what any parent wants to see their child go far. You know, you don't want to be in a nursing home. Hopefully they'll be able to afford to put you in the back in another second house or whatever, you know. But yeah, Paris is Burning brought a lot of pain, a lot of emotional pain to the fact that this woman, and she disappeared. She disappeared for a long period of time. Now, let me just say something. Remember, Paris is Burning didn't have no education about HIV and AIDS. And I started a burial fund in 2012. It's called the Kevin Omnivoros Funeral / Burial Fund for the ballroom community. You had people in the community pushing that film, not realizing the pain and suffering and how they were exploited and how she made all this money and she didn't give anything back. It would have been nice if today, her knowing, oh, Kevin's got a burial fund, and it helps the ballroom children who don't have insurance or parents or family, help them out. Because I used to have to do club fundraisers to raise money for people that were uninsured. And I felt the burial fund would have been a really good way to go.
Wow.
And you would think she would say, well, okay, I got $3.5 million. Here's $500,000 for the burial fund. Would have been nice. So we're going to move away from her. And that's what Paris is Burning gave. Now we go to How Do I Look? How Do I Look was presented to me by Wolfgang. He asked me, let's do the answer to Paris is Burning. We went through a lot, Sophia. We became members of the Harlem Arts Council, which was the International Agency for Minority Artist Affairs. We went to meetings. When we tried to get funding for the film, we sat in a room where the people in New York and Harlem voted on who they were going to give money to and all the projects that were on the table. And we couldn't say anything. When they got to us, they said, well, they already got Paris is Burning. So they wouldn't give us any money. Wolfgang spent about close to, I don't want to exaggerate, but he spent about close to $100,000 on How Do I Look. But let me tell you the difference between How Do I Look and Paris is Burning. We had meetings down in Midtown at the Gay Center and what have you, with ballroom people. And we asked them, what do you want to see in the film? They had a choice to put their input into How Do I Look? Something that Jenny did what she wanted to do. She didn't ask, should I put this in? What do you think about that? No opinions or anything. And we have a very educational piece in there where Luna is talking about how he contracted HIV when he was 14. We have Octavia, who's no longer here. Luna's still here. Octavia passed away, but she said, you know, she talked about how she felt like she was never going to love anybody because she had AIDS and this, that, and other. But she explains HIV is not AIDS. You know, there's educational content in there, and there's this femme queen named Jasmine who is going to Syracuse University. So we follow her. These are ballroom children. You told one side of the story, but you didn't tell the other.
Yeah.
The two sides, and the truth. You know,
it seems like she just made it look like, you know, you were thieves, robbers, you know, doing all this bad stuff, when in reality, you're going to school, you're students, you care for your families, you know, everybody's not in one side. You know what I'm trying to say? So I think
they didn't mention it at all. They didn't mention it.
That's why I think it's important to do things like this, because these kind of conversations can educate people that don't know.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? People that don't understand the ball community or don't know the ball community. It's not just a bunch of people getting together in creative outfits jumping around. These people are creative artists. Some people might be architects, and that's how they make their outfits up. So, I think these kind of conversations are needed to educate the world on the culture of ballroom.
Yes, and unfortunately, me and Wolfgang put out a lot of money. We did a lot of screenings. We did screenings at NYU. We did screenings at Harvard, Penn State, upstate New York, to different agencies across, because we also had to deal with the fact that, like, when I tell people, when I came out and started hanging out in the club scene was 1973. I didn't know there was no such thing as HIV and AIDS. It was a whole different world then. And when I started losing my friends by 1985, and then all of a sudden, and then I was doing the first fundraiser in New York, which was the Love Ball with the Design Industry Foundation for AIDS. The second one I did with Spike Lee, and the third one was the Love Ball again. I became a person that I really didn't quite understand some of the attitudes of people. Like, they work at an agency and they're, oh, well, I work at an agency, I help with HIV and AIDS. I did all of that for free. I did what they forgot the word, very simple, volunteer. I volunteered all those years and still do. Mm-hmm. And not just the LGBT. I volunteered for the YMCA, working with the little kids who have parents that are drug addicts or whatever, doing arts and craft with them. I worked at the food pantries. I do all that. It's called humanitarian. No, I didn't get a paycheck. So my battle with some of the people working in the agencies have been, if you weren't getting a paycheck, you wouldn't do anything for anybody. But you want to give yourself all this accreditation. Now, I would like to take a moment and just give a shout out to some people in the community that have been. And this ties in a lot of stuff. I'd like to give a shout out to Gary Paul Wright. He's probably shocked. Yes, Gary. Gary worked for the GMHC. And back in 1982 and 83, when I would invite the GMHC to come into the balls, we were substandard people. Oh, they couldn't be bothered with us. We were the underdogs. But Gary would come and educate us on HIV and AIDS. Gary soon left the GMHC and is now in New Jersey with an organization called AAOGC, African American Office of Gay Concerns. And he's out there politically, 2021, constantly, continuously fighting for the rights of transgenders, ballroom people, and everybody within the Black, gay, and Latino culture. Then you have Julio Roman Caesar from NJCRI, who is out there. They got programs for kids. These are the things that I used to argue with the GMHC. They gave an annual event called the Latex Ball. They spent $25,000 on Roseland Ballroom rental for one night. They spent $3,000 to $4,000 on trophies. One grand prize, $1,000. Can't even begin to tell you how much security was. We're talking 3,000 people. At the beginning, they would teach you about HIV and AIDS. Then as the years went by, you don't even hear nothing about HIV and AIDS. They got categories where who's like two guys, it's called Who's Zooming Who. And the guys come up and you need to know who's the man, who's the whatever. And, like, what does that have to do with safe sex? Mind you, then they started serving alcohol. At the beginning, there was no alcohol. So my question when I went to the GMHC and had a meeting, I said, well, why do you serve alcohol? That's to offset some of the costs. You want to offset some of the costs. So people should get drunk and have unprotected sex. I've had so many battles with the GMHC. And I'm not talking about me just going there and having a meeting with them. I'm talking about, I'm in like countless magazines. One day I'm going to bring them to your office and let you see them, where I'm arguing about the GMHC. How come you can't take that $40,000, $50,000 you spend in one night and give them some GED programs? Give the kids some housing help other than whatever. You weren't interested in the ball community when I used to invite you, but once HIV and AIDS became a grant writing community, the ball children and the ball community were the suckers. I'm sorry, I can't put it in all the kind of way. And that's not being negative. Now you want to come into the balls, you want to act like you want to give a ball, a free ball, which they actually were charging at one point too, within the past 5 years. It's like being manipulated. And then the ballroom children are like, oh, we're gonna go to the latex ball. The kids from Europe, oh, let's go to the latex ball. And what I want to know is when I walked into the GMHC many a times, where are my people of color, Latino and Black? The majority of GMHC, and then listen, I hope you're ready for this. Your hair gonna turn again.
Uh-oh.
So me and Wolfgang protested against the GMHC to the point where Dr. Marjorie Hill, who was Black, resigned. She was making $250,000 a year. So within 4 years, she had $1 million. Did she do anything for us? She gave whoever was down in charge, give them a latex ball. The second person in charge, Judy Weinberg, or Weinstein, I forgot, resigned. What would this Jewish woman know about HIV and AIDS? How much sensitivity can she have towards the gay community? She resigned. Then we had Manny Ortiz, the third in charge. He resigned. That's how hard and how heavy me and Wolfgang put pressure on the GMHC. Every newspaper, I was in the Daily News, the New York Times 3 times, the Village Voice, the Post, and in Europe, Vrij Nederland, which is the biggest major paper in Amsterdam. Always, and every gay publication talking about GMHC and they're exploiting the kids and using the kids. They didn't want to have anything to do with the balls. A lot of the kids today don't know that because this is another generation. But Gary Paul Wright was the only one that was an employee that would come to the balls. He came to my ball in 83 and 84, and he talked about HIV and AIDS, educating people. But before that, they looked at us like, we don't want to be bothered with them freaks. You know, and now all of a sudden, because these freaks can be written off as a grant and we could get money and have jobs, now the ballroom is important. And it's the same thing with people out there that produce these shows. I'm not saying that they're bad people, but I'm saying if it doesn't come back to the original ballroom community, how is it benefiting us? Okay, let's go to HBO Legendary. HBO Legendary, very talented. Deshaun is someone I know and I respect, and I'm happy for him. But one message that I want him and I want the people from Pose like Tyra, who I love, and others, don't forget where you came from. Don't forget where you came from. Now I have to give credit to the House of Ballroom. The House of Ballroom is giving an event September 5th in Atlanta. And they won on HBO Legendary. They won, I think, $100,000. Big money. And I give them kudos because their ball right now that they're giving on September 5th is basically giving all that money back in the category cash. Now that's a great thing. So I applaud the House of Ballroom. I applaud Rodney. However, HBO Legendary in general, what about the rest of the community? That was one house that won the 100,000, and there was another house. Now I don't watch it. Yeah. And the only reason I don't watch it is because every show that goes on, whether it's HBO Legendary or Pose, never consulted the original pioneers that are still alive. They overlooked us, and these younger kids that became icons, decide, oh, we're not going to have the Kevins, and we're not going to have the Larry Ebonies, and we're not going to have the Junior LaBeijas, because then they won't want us. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are the historians. They can't give the history like we can. They can't tell how it was when, like, okay, then they say, Kevin, what are you a pioneer for besides being in the era? Well, the balls were always in Harlem. In 1983, I was the first one to bring the balls from Harlem down to Midtown. I had a venue on East 86th Street. That was 1983. 1984, I was on 43rd Street at the Hotel Diplomat. So there were no balls downtown in Midtown, house structured balls, until I came downtown. Not only that, the balls used to go on at 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm the first one to pioneer the time change. Doors open up at 10 p.m. We're going home at 5 a.m. instead of coming at 5 a.m. So I pioneered that. We had a time in 1982 where we only had like 7 balls a year, and everybody was ball crazy. It was like a drug, an addiction. So I would turn around and say, like, we got to wait another 2 months for a ball. So I decided to get what we call a mini ball. The kids are doing it all over the country. There's like 10 mini balls a month, you know, and little old me started it. Okay. And I started it in Brooklyn. My friend Makuta started it in Harlem. I give him credit because he's always debating. Well, your ball wasn't. Listen, I walked your mini ball after my ball. But we had mini balls. So I pioneered that. Pioneered the time change, pioneered from Midtown to, from Harlem to Midtown, pioneered like a certain category, like space age illusion. The Omni logo was the grand prize of my first ball, and my second ball was, you know, the grand prize at a ball is the biggest category with the biggest amount of money. And back then, people fought like crazy just for a trophy. And we had grand prize, we had first place. At my first ball, I had grand prize, first place, and second place, because I didn't want to see nobody looking sad.
Yeah.
And the category was called Space Age Illusion. It was 1983. I wanted to see an outfit from the year 2001. And you had to bring something futuristic. And this guy, God bless his soul, Gene, won grand prize in a Gucci spacesuit, an authentic Gucci spacesuit in 1983. For the guys. Now, for the girls, it was Avis Pendarvis. She came in here and threw some smoke bombs and almost ran us out of the place. But we had creativity. We had, like, we were more into, like, okay, nowadays it's like, I'm not going to that ball. They're not giving no money away. I'm not going to, you know, people are not, like, now it has become a thing where it's all about the cash. And there's nothing wrong with that. But along with that, along with the statuses, it took away, and now that it's not underground anymore, it took away from the carnival, sort of the camaraderie. It took, like, you know, like we used to sell tickets for each other, and nobody bought back an unsold ticket, you know?
Yeah.
And we did all of that. We were more like family, more, you know, friendly, we were more helping each other. And it didn't matter what house you were in. Today it's
it was not as competitive as far as being a friend. Like, you could be a friend, whereas now it seems like, you know, it's just more to compete for the money. They're not looking at the culture or the reason behind what they're doing.
You got it. And it's like whatever clique you're in. You know, I mean, I've seen so much, and I watch the kids today, and I really admire a lot of the kids that I see today. I see kids with talent. I just want them to be able to learn our history, respect our history, and keep their eyes open so that they can't be hoodwinked or manipulated, or, you know, like, ask questions. If so-and-so said this, then what about that? You know, there's no more, everybody's just like a herd community, just, and then,
like, you don't want them taken advantage of like they were taken advantage of in Paris is Burning.
Yeah,
you
and now
don't
we
want people taking advantage of them.
Yeah, and now we have Pose and HBO, where I'm not saying that they're taking advantage of anybody. I think they're doing a good thing for the people that are in the show, great actors and actresses. But like I said, to those kids that come from the ballroom, don't forget where you come from. And don't try to hide the people that are here that know, include us. Why
Yeah.
make things, like exclusive where you don't want to include the truth? And then we have to sit back and hear about things because most of the people from my era don't watch Pose. They don't watch HBO because they've had enough even after Paris is burning. How do I look? It's out there. Again, we asked the community what they wanted to see and how do I look? Everybody else has just exploited, went on their way. Jenny went on her way, or I did hear that she was a consultant for Pose. Ain't that something? Madonna made her money. These actors they got now are making their money, but just like Pose ended, maybe they got other opportunities. And if that's the case, good luck. And I'm happy for them. But again, don't step on the people that watched you grow. And for them to always overlook the pioneers that are alive, they want to talk about Avis, they want to talk about Paris, and nothing's wrong with that. But what about us? Why do we have to wait until we're gone for you to open up and say whatever? Like many people don't know how much volunteer work I've done behind the scenes, not because I was working for an AIDS organization. I got out there and got on the front line and fought for this community. When it came to arguing with the agencies that didn't do us any good, when it came to the film, just like give back to the community, help us out. You know what I'm saying? Why should we just sit on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger?
No, you're 100% right because, in order to keep a community going or a culture going, you have to give back. You have to be there for people. You have to give back. So if someone goes and they get a movie or whatever, go back and get the original people that know the real story, opposed to, glossing it over and not really, giving the true story. Help those people. If somebody gets a TV show like one of these that are on, help those people. If the show ends, what else do they have that, have they given back to? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What else? And they should do that. I agree with you that they should give back. And now let's talk a little bit about your opinion on Rupaul. Now, hold on. We're going to go to a commercial and we're going to let you, simmer on that for a minute and we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. We're going to run to speak to our sponsors. Back in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on Fashion Avenue News, and we have the king with us, Kevin Ultra Omni. He is pioneer, legend, fashion icon, you name it, this man has done it, darling. Absolutely amazing. I love him. And I wanted to talk a little bit about people's, your opinion on RuPaul, the show, and what they're doing. Because now they're doing like $100,000 giveaway.
Wow, I'm glad that you informed me. That's
when the one that wins,
Mhm.
is $100,000. First, it was, I think, 25,000. It went to 50, 75, and now it's $100,000.
Well, my opinion on that is bravo. Bravo for whoever wins that money. Don't get me started because I might have to come to the House of Couture and give me a couple of
Turn it
things
out.
and give me a couple of things and go on Miss RuPaul show.
Yes.
My opinion about RuPaul, I think that, to be honest with you, the drags race, it's a good show. It's a good show. It's RuPaul's thing, what have you. My personal opinion about RuPaul, she used to, I believe, was close to somebody I admire, Lady Bunny. Shout out to Lady Bunny. But RuPaul has been invited to different events, ballroom, and I don't believe she ever showed at any. It's like, I don't want to say like you have to go to a ball, but you use our style, you use the categories, you use a lot of the terminology from ballroom or gay room. Like they'll say gay, but no, it's ballroom. You know what I mean? On point. You know, well, I never said sashay away, but I'm just saying, I think RuPaul is really a good person. I wish she would come back to the community and express herself to many of the other communities. I don't really have anything bad to say about her. I
You
just
like the show?
think she's fabulous. I'll be honest with you, I watched it a few times. I did watch it a few times. I found a lot of it interesting, entertaining. And I think that when RuPaul gets in drag, she is amazing. She is beautiful. She should be
Yes.
wearing some House of Couture
I
stuff.
wish she would.
Yeah,
I
well,
wish she
think that
would.
maybe, if she gets a hold of this interview, maybe she will. And maybe one day I'll get to be a judge.
You should be, because you know what it takes to win. You
True.
know what it takes. So
Well,
I
you know
think
what?
that would be,
Let's
you
give
would
a
be a
shout
good
out to
judge.
RuPaul, and let's just say, RuPaul,
I'm gonna write her note.
out here.
I'm gonna send her. I'm gonna send her an email and say, if you want a true judge that has lived it, this is the judge you should get. I'm gonna send it.
And you know what? I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Sophia, you need to stop making me blush.
But that's true. You should. You know so much about it. You should truly be a judge. And I think that, with your knowledge, all the culture behind it, you would make good choice. Now, if you produce the show, what if you produced the ballroom show, like a TV show? What would it be like?
Wow, you gave me that's one of those that like I'm thinking, because right now I'm working also on my documentary, about the life and times of Kevin Omni. I would love to let the world see not just the competitive edge, but everything that involves and what's behind the competition, everything that it takes. Sometimes you see some people sewing little snippets, or like on RuPaul's show, they show you different things. But I'm talking about, like, let's get into that person's mindset. I would like to bring that out. Like, what does it take to get that energy to want to go to that store and look for that material? What made you decide that this is what I want to do? I want to get the inside feelings of how people select certain categories. Like with me, it was easy. It was executive. I walked high fashion evening wear, leather versus suede, face, best dressed man, realness, shopping down Fifth Avenue, realness. And I think I showed you my picture of me up in drag. Did I ever send that to you?
No, you never sent me that.
Oh my goodness.
You need to send that. I've never seen it.
As soon as we get off, I'm gonna send it to you. Yeah. I'm wearing a blue lame gown. I'm 23 years old. And
wow.
I'm gonna say, I'm African American, but I got Mita Cucaracha here. Okay. And I'm wearing cherries in the snow Red Lipstick by Ultimate Team.
I love Cherries in the Snow by Revlon. Oh my God, that's my lipstick back in the day. I love Cherries in the Snow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I'm wearing some silver pumps. I even have the video. I got the DVD. Wow. And not only that, let me tell you this. It's the first videotape ever of the first ball. I have that in my possession. 1982. It's called TV Transvestites, but it was surrounded a ball that Dorian Corey and Pepper LaBeija gave called Harlem Fantasy. And it was at this club on 125th Street. I'm trying to think of what the name of the place was. It'll come to me probably later, but yeah, that was my night. And it was weird because it took a long time for me to get dressed because I never did it before. It said first time, and it really was my first time. And the House of Ebony came rushing through the door and like, why you got the blue gown on? We got the, what was it? Something McFadden, some designer back then. They had a gown for me. And I was like, after putting on this lame gown, and then I had to put the socks in my breast. And I was like, I'm not coming out of this with these stockings pulling
It's like too much work. I'm not changing now.
Oh, I know what it was. It was a Kamali. Something.
Norma Kamali?
Yes. They had a gown for me.
Ready. Norma Kamali.
Yes. The House of Ebony.
I love Norma Kamali stuff.
Yeah,
she's
Norma
fabulous.
Kamali. And I was up in a gown that was like, it was that blue, that shocking electric blue, and it was lame. Yes. And you couldn't tell me I wasn't I almost fell on the runway. I'm not gonna lie to you. But yeah, I have the first.
But that was your first time in heels? Was that your first time in heels?
First time ever.
Wow.
First time ever. And I actually got a first place trophy, Wow. But I was like, I never did it again. And I gotta give the femme queens and the female figures all the respect in the world, but I couldn't do it. There ain't no way in the world. And I give you respect. Y'all get up in them heels, and sometimes you want to get the bras that pull it up. No. I could never.
It was too much. It's too much for you.
It just wasn't me, And I just think about it. Like I said, that tape. Oh, let me tell you the history behind it. Not only is it the first ball that was ever videotaped, 30 years later in 2012, that was 1982. In 2012, we did a screening. Simone and McKelly and Wolfgang Busch, well, they came from Italy and Wolfgang's from Germany. They did a screening and I hosted it. At the end of the night, they gave me money to start the Kevin Omnivoros Funeral Fund. So I've had it since 2012. I have a lot of problems with kids. Like I tell the kids all the time, donate $2. You got 6,000 ballroom kids. Can you imagine everybody gave $2, $5 or whatever? And I've had many people come and ask me for money when there was, casualties and tragedies. And right now we're down to a minimum because this is all on donations. And Wolfgang is taking care of it. Like if somebody sends me a request, I tell Wolfgang I approve it and give it to Wolfgang, and he does the payout. But this is what I'm saying about the community being disenfranchised, because the things that we need to do to help ourselves is so hard to get them to do. And then when you have people like on the movies and TV shows, they forget the people they left behind, and that's not how it should be. I pride myself in setting an example by doing all the volunteer work, by doing all the AIDS fundraisers, by going to St. Jude's with, the fundraiser for St. Jude's that you were at. You know what I mean? It's like giving back and just being a part of something that's greater than yourself.
I agree with you, Kevin. I agree. Now, how is it with the kids today and the, maybe more mature pioneers? Do you guys work together, get along, or, because it's I understand it's a different era, but sometimes, some people know they can learn from the more mature person, because that person has been where they're going.
Well, you know something, little birdies in my ear, but you know, I like my friend Larry Ebony is one of the pioneers, and Larry started the house in 1978, and I'm 79. Uh, you know, excuse me, you know, I'm being distracted. Um, Me and Larry, we do a lot of camaraderie. We still to this day, you know, we both grew up in Brooklyn and Bedford-Stuyvesant, right up the street from each other, but we have each other's backs. So when Larry has an idea, I'm for it. I support him, and vice versa. Then we have pioneers like Erskine Christian, who, you know, was one of the first guys to walk face. You know, so he's like the blueprint of face. Um, and me and him send messages back and forth on Messenger all the time. We have a relationship, but a lot of the pioneers that are still around, uh, they don't really stay in contact. Like some of them, like I'm the only one besides Larry now that has been still with the balls in some shape, form, or fashion. The other pioneers only be called by name, but absent in body. And it's not a bad thing, it's just what they choose.
Yeah.
Sometimes I used to get frustrated because it was always me, you know, and I used to go, why me? And then I never stopped, and I'm forever re-educating and re-educating. And I don't debate with the kids like I used to, because I used to debate with them, you know, and now I don't. I can't entertain it. I don't have the energy. I'm like, I'm 63 years old this October in 2 more months. I've done the best I could, and I'm going to continue being there when you need me. Now, just like this whole thing with the postponing the ball, let me tell you something. Chazzy is the organization that was presenting the ball, and Ultra Omni was the host. I was the host. Some of the Ultra Omni members co-sponsored. The investors gave $10,000 to give out. And when we got this state mandate, because it's an agency, that the cases are rising and events have to be canceled or postponed, I felt like a little kid last week. I wanted to call you up at Sophia and say, Sophia, I just want to throw a tantrum. I want to throw something. I feel bad that the kids, and you know, some kids, well, listen, I looked online and I put the reason why, you know, Chazzy's statement officially. And one child came in that's supposed to be a friend of mine, supposed to be, and put a laugh thing there, like, you know, oh, it's canceled, or it's like, why is that funny? I try to give money. This is what I'm talking about, disenfranchised. You have all type of things going on, the mental issues and what have you. I'm trying to do something so that you can get the money, okay? And I don't want to be shady or anything, but I'm getting paid regardless. You know what I'm saying? But the category cash was for you, not me. And no Omni member could walk because it's Omni syndicated. So that would be unfair. And I, you know, don't understand. But like I said, I felt like a child, like, you know, like really, you know, and then I have to get over it. I'm still not over it. I just want you to know that. Because I was excited. I was looking forward to you.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because they use the word postponement. But my thing is that the energy that it took for me to do the promotions, because I stand behind everything 100%.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
our part one, that bad boy's everywhere. You know,
Yeah, you had invested so much of your time and energy and, you know, putting things together. But
yeah,
again, it's postponed. So that's the good thing. It's postponed. And, you know, I think it'll give you time to think and, you know, even come back stronger because, you know, you have time now, you
right.
know, time to do some other things that you might need to take care of. And then when those are finished, you come back stronger once they say yes. Now, is there anything that I've left out of our part two interview that you want to touch on before I let you go?
I want to just make sure that the kids understand that ballroom is fun. And it's not all about, you know, it's good to get your status, but don't let the real meaning of going to balls disappear because now you're an icon. You don't feel like you should work as hard. Or if you're an icon and you didn't put in the work and you got this false sense of pride, let's get back to the old ballroom, like the spirit. Like when you get out there in Vogue Femme. When you get out there, nobody, the commentators are like, and this is a new icon, and this is a new so-and-so. Okay, already. Like, can we, okay. Can we just see the talent? Can we see people having fun? And people in the audience, whether they're in your house or not, just always clap and always be supportive and always enjoy yourself. And remember to stay true to yourself and understand that everything that glitters is not gold. Because you have some real people like us pioneers still alive that you can always come to. And never forget that we're here. One thing I want to say to the kids too is like, if you want to pioneer an older person, mature, to come to your balls, then make it accessible for us. We're not going to stand on no long line.
No.
We paved the way. Let's do our VIP. Haven't we done enough? I'm not saying not everybody, but I myself have done enough. I've done a lot, and I continue to support even when I feel it's shade, because you know what? Shade to me is education. It's not for me to be offended by it. And when I talk, everybody wants to get offended, and they know I'm a Libra. I got to have the scales. I got to balance. You know what I'm saying? So I want y'all to know that I love you. And I want you to know that y'all going to start paying homage to my lovely Sophia Davis of Fashion.
Oh, thank you.
You know what? She is really out there and she's helping people. And that's how I first met you, at a fundraiser.
Yeah. I'm always trying to help, and I'm always trying to educate.
And
now, is there social? Thank you. Is there social media where people can follow, help, or volunteer, donate, anything like that, Kevin?
Oh, you mean for the burial fund?
For either the burial fund or just to follow you, to be supportive, to reach out, to do those things?
Well, I'm on Facebook as Kevin Omnivoros, and on Instagram, I'm Kevin _Ultra _Omni, just like Sophia Davis for Fashion Avenue News. And as far as the burial fund, you can, if you ever want to donate, you can contact Wolfgang Bush. He's on Facebook, or you can call 718-623-2926. And we take donations. And if there's people that need us for whatever reason, for burial or funeral, we'll do the best we can. And I'm out. I'm here.
Great. Well, Kevin, I want to thank you so much for taking time to do a part 2 with me, because you are a wealth of information, someone to be totally and highly respected because of all of the work you've done in the ballroom community, educating not just the people in the ballroom community, but people like myself who are not per se, don't know a lot about it, but want to know because I adore it. I think it's amazing. And, just setting straight some of the ideas that we have, the outside people like Madonna did this and Madonna did that. No, letting us know, kind of what the whole culture is about. And so I appreciate that. And I appreciate your time. And, I'm always here if you ever need me.
Oh, listen, Sophia, like I said, I would love to host one of your shows. And I got to give a shout out to my son. This goes to Kai, Boy Wonder Milan, because, he's my heart and he keeps me going. He stands behind me. He pushes me. He supports me. And he is a ballroom icon. And
excellent.
To everyone, I love you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And I'll let you know when this is airing, because we love you and we just can't wait to get this up. Because every time we play something that you talk about, we get like 5,000 views.
Wow.
Yes. You're really educating people. You're helping a lot.
Well, I love everybody that loves me. I want people to keep me in their prayers. I keep everybody in mind. and just pray, and let's do the best we can to protect ourselves, especially with this virus. Let's get these masks, get vaccinated, do what we need to do, because it's not going to go anywhere, and we don't want more events canceled or postponed.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate you.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, I'm going to close us out.
And my glasses.
Yes, I got to send them. I'm going to close us out.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Fashion Avenue News, where only the best will do. And our guest tonight has been the amazing Kevin Ultra Omni. Icon, pioneer, you name it, he is it. Super pioneer. I don't know, lifetime achiever. He has so many titles and he is so amazing to spend time with us, and we truly appreciate it. Watch us next week, Monday nights, 8 p.m. Thank you.